these avenues of thought are being opened so that we can change. I feel that I'm an example, I'm a forerunner for what's going to happen to much of the population.
Knowing the thought patterns of humans, that one message was not enough, the Confederation resorted to a much more extensive assistance scheme. After consultation with the spiritual hierarchies and the cosmic intelligences known as archangels, a common plan was developed with the Archangel Michael to send his legions of light workers to incarnate on Earth. Voluntary extraterrestrials of all planetary hierarchies within our Milky Way helped heal the Earth with the release of a new consciousness on the planet, leading us back to expand the awareness of the planetary Christ, or Buddhi consciousness. First, ascended masters who once left Atlantis decided to incarnate again, as well as countless volunteers of higher planetary hierarchies, to begin the return of the White Brotherhood on Earth. An old Bible prophecy tells of the last battle on Earth, where the Archangel Michael leads his legions into the battle against the unconscious. In 1960, the first voluntaries began to incarnate on Earth with the help of the spiritual worlds in order to prepare for the coming of the legions. The legions would incarnate from about 1970 onwards if the vibration of the planet was slightly raised in order to change the world from within.
The role of the light workers in this transition upon the planet Earth is quite varied. We all have unique and individual roles. Basically, I think we've come to understand that the new millennium, the golden age, is not going to occur through some angelic force stepping down from heaven, waving a magic wand and transforming the planet. This change will come about through a shift in conscious awareness, through a change in our own individual perception. And many of us are now working to bring this change into fruition. The main commitment that we have now is to simply allow our being to be so perfectly in tune with divine will, with the higher energies, that we are in fact just vessels, like the Holy Grail, for these energies to flow through and manifest upon this plane. So in other words, I guess all changes come from cleaning up your own backyard and through simply allowing the inner light to really shine forward and forth and trigger that inner light within the hearts of all.
Each of the millions of extraterrestrial volunteers who was born here is a specialist in the most diverse areas of science and in the art of living. At a definite point in time, the awakening call went out into the subconscious of these beings who were the unconscious carriers of higher knowledge and vibrations. Healers, therapists, scientists who know about the concept of free energy, light workers, living quantum accelerators are cleaning the earth. They are the teachers who spread the love of life, art and meditation. They are spiritual teachers, warriors of the suppressed truth. All of them, consciously or unconsciously, introduce the new age and raise the frequency of the planet. Many of these people have always felt that a part of them is different.
At the time, I had never heard of or read about UFO, and I had an experience on a ski holiday at the Tauchen Lake in Salzburg. I used to pray a lot for people who were about to die, and I comforted people who had a calling in this life. In the evening, I went to bed and I prayed. I cannot even say how this sort of thing happens. Then there were 6 round flying objects, and out of each of these round flying objects shone a beam of light. In that moment, the beam of light intensified, and I was afraid. My fear was so strong that I was paralyzed, but at the same time, I also felt bliss. Then the beam hit my head, through the eyes and the forehead, and it felt like my head was bursting. And again I had a strong pain and a feeling of bliss. And the spiritual realization, that is, a real transmission, a communication, an understanding, we are energy, and if you hold as much energy as we do, we will come and take you from the earth. There is only one possibility, love. I always sleep naked in bed, if you do not mind me saying so. The temperature was -15 degrees. I went outside onto the balcony and I was pulled up into the starry sky. I did not feel a cold, nothing. My husband pulled me back into the room. For 3 days I was supposed to ski, but I was like paralyzed, like totally absent. I could not think, feel, wish for, want anything else but this message which I had been given. And as I said, at the time, I had neither read nor heard anything about UFOs. Later, when I had moved to solar, I had a further experience. Again, it was before midnight. Something pulled me out of my body. I really saw how a force pulled me out of my body, and then it spoke in me, Rolf. That is the name of my husband. Together we have decided to further realize ourselves in the Christ consciousness, in his love and in his wisdom, and that is why I was allowed to remain here. Indeed, I had the feeling that I had already been taken away at the time.
With the return of the lightworkers, all the lost knowledge of the secret sciences will return to Earth. The ancient knowledge about crystals, healing, colors and sounds, herbs and flower essences, as well as electromagnetism will return. But this knowledge will only be a temporary concept until human beings achieve their own true completion. Different seeds of stars choose a much more difficult path. Since Atlantis, they have incarnated many times up to this century. They were students of the light masters from Atlantis and descending extraterrestrials. These souls were magicians, witches, healers, high priests, and the initiated of many centuries. They descended long ago to be a light for mankind on their path of darkness. They were often persecuted, killed, silenced, and laughed at because of their knowledge of the higher truth. They swam like fish against the currents of humanity.
You are a member of a Rosicrucian secret society. Yes, it is the Rosicrucian Order, or Amok. It is the only official and true one. It was founded 3,500 years ago here in Egypt. The teachings are of Hermes Trismegistus. The entire spiritual line, let's say, is laid in order to find the path to God. Everyone has to find his path. These teachings are pure and real, and they are constantly updated, scientifically, and let's say also on a spiritual level.
Wissenschaftlich und auch, sagen wir, spirituell.
Do you see a relationship between the contact to extraterrestrials and your religious coalition? Not directly. I think that if all human beings have a straight path to God, all this will fall into place. I do not think that human beings can determine it themselves. Somehow they are chosen. Could it be that the extraterrestrials are observing certain people or souls here on this planet, and that they are then chosen as messengers or contact people in order to bring the message to the world? Yes, they have confirmed this to me. They are observing. Then they choose people and give them instructions.
Even during this century, great thinkers using holistic techniques, such as Nikola Tesla, Wilhelm Reich, Victor Schauberger, and many others have been persecuted and silenced by the lodges because of their inventions using free energy. The first group of these seeds of stars were wounded many times during their battle to slowly raise mankind out of its spiritual darkness. The first seeds were of great help during the first phase of ascension, bringing breakthroughs in the thinking of humanity. They were the geniuses of this century.